What's going on, everybody? It's Patrick Deng here with the Parallax podcast. And today we have a historical event where we are actually going to have one of the first CloneX rappers I've seen online. Vega is over here today joining us. So Vega, how you doing, man?
How's it going, man? I'm glad to be here.
Glad to see you here in virtual reality. And just so people who are watching this on YouTube, like, where are you right now? Like, what's going on? Like, how are you at CloneX? What's the deal?
You mean like where am I, like physically the world, or like
or just like like in the metaverse world? Like how is this happening? How am I talking to a CloneX right now?
Oh yeah, so man, I'm in Neos VR, which is the preferred platform that I like to use in virtual reality. I had to learn how to rig my own clone for virtual reality myself, and it took me 3 days because I had no prior experience in doing it. But using full body tracking, I can be in any world that I feel like being in. This one is actually a Japanese school. I'm on the roof.
Okay, Japanese school on the roof. Sick. Okay, so for a lot of people who may not be familiar with who Vega is, because recently you started popping off on Twitter, like, what can you kind of say like about yourself to like give them like, the down low real quick?
Yeah, I've been a rapper for nearly 10 years now. Was doing a lot of stuff under my actual self as Vega Genesis. Vega comes from my real last name. I never wanted a rap name. I just wanted to use my real last name. Yeah, and there's like 75 artists named Vega, so I had to add the Genesis to it, which I got from the Sega Genesis, of course. But yeah, man, just been rapping for a while, and I wanted to do, something like groundbreaking or something new to set myself apart. So we kind of dove into virtual reality, and I'm using my CloneX, which I've named Junior.
Okay,
yeah.
So, now this is quite interesting. All right, so you've been a rapper for a while, right?
Yeah.
Well, actually, the first thing I want to ask is like, what were you doing before you started, like, using the Junior name? Was it just like you were doing like, making songs and stuff, and then like having a job, or like what was the deal before that?
Yeah, so for some years, I was making music, but I was also selling cars full time, like 50, 60 hours a week selling cars. And, it was just, something to do because it paid nearly 6 figures. And I lived in Michigan at the time, but it was something that I thought I had to do. It was that path where it's like, all right, you have to make the money. You have to have good credit. You have to buy a house. And so I was doing these things. And, making music was the passion. And it was like one of those things, well, if it doesn't work out, then I have all this other stuff to fall back on. I have this life I've prepared for myself. But that's just a horrible way to look at it, man. If you look at it as a plan B, you're never going to succeed. It's always going to be like, foot in, foot out, halfway in it. So that's what I was doing before. And I decided to stop doing that. Took music full time, moved across the country to Los Angeles because that's where the music industry is. And I was working as creative director for a luxury brand of robes called Daddy Robes part-time while I focused on music primarily.
Okay.
Yeah.
I actually know this with, what was it? Harvey J, right? Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen some of his videos. It's pretty funny.
Man, he's like one of the OG influencers. Like people think of influencer as like the Vine, TikTok, like Instagram era, but like they really started on either YouTube or Facebook. Facebook like 2011, 2012, and he's from that era.
Wow, interesting. Okay, so you're doing the creative direction stuff in LA, is it? Or
yeah,
where is it at?
Yeah,
in LA. Okay, and then like how'd you like get into like crypto and NFTs actually? Because that's like an interesting route from creative director to crypto and then here, right?
So those are two different journeys. I mean, I've been messing around with crypto since 2012. I was buying Bitcoin at $40.
Oh, really? Wait, what?
You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, I don't have any because I was buying dumb shit with them on the Silk Road. So I don't know. Sorry that I cussed on this. I don't know what I'm supposed to, but
it's all good.
I was buying stupid stuff on the Silk Road with the Bitcoin. So I don't have any left over, but yeah. I was there for that in 2012. I was there in 2017 buying various things. I made a lot of money off of Ryblocks, which is now Nano. And then in early 2021, a roommate that I was living with at the time was like, bro, we need to get into NBA Top Shot right now. And I was like, okay. So yeah, I was just buying packs off the NBA Top Shots, and that was my, introduction to NFTs. And then after they kind of like, fumbled the bag, because I feel like Top Shot lost traction, big time. I kind of really didn't pick it up again until CloneX.
Okay. So then like, how'd you get into CloneX? Was it just like you were following like Artifact Studios on Twitter and then you're like, oh, that's sick. It speaks to me, or?
When I first moved out here to LA, I was trying to, meet up with all the creatives and get involved in, the TikTok stuff, because that's where the music industry was kind of headed. Everybody's like, well, your song can go viral on TikTok. So I went to an influencer day, a content day at a TikTok house, and I met this guy. His name's Hunkins. Zach Hunkins, and he was always posting on Instagram like, look at these games, I bought a doodle and now I'm doing this. So I was like, damn, bro, like I see you really in NFTs and you're really profiting. Like, what do you think the next move is? And he was like, well, if you can afford it, you should buy CloneX. And so I looked at it. I saw it was in collaboration with Takashi Murakami, who I love, and it was like a no-brainer at that point. I look at the roadmap, I see that there's 3D files in the roadmap, and then when I saw that, like, it just clicked as far as like music goes. I was like, dude, I will make music as this character, and it'll be something brand new, that people aren't doing.
Oh, interesting. So then you were checking it out before it minted or after it minted?
Yeah, before it minted. Yeah, I minted mine.
Oh, wow. Okay. So
I didn't mint this one. I had to work up to this one, but I minted one. And
okay. So you have to get like a cooler one over time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, no, I totally get that. Wait, so then how'd you make the connection between like, oh, the 3D files, like this is what I'm going to use for like my rapping, like persona and stuff like that? Was it just like automatic? Like you just had the vision for that?
It just was an automatic correlation for me, and I had seen, scrolling down whatever media, whether it was Instagram Reels or TikToks or whatever else, people in virtual reality messing around, making funny videos. Everybody's seen the Ugandan Knuckles, do you know the way memes.
Oh, yeah,
from
the way.
Virtual, from like VR chats. So, I had this idea of like already characterization from virtual reality in my head. I just didn't think that, I would be doing it with music, because in the music industry, especially, anything entertainment, there's a huge sense of like ego. Like, it has to be about me. I have to look this way. I have to be this way. Like, I have to make it for myself. But that's not the only way. When you're fluid in your creativity, you learn that like there are several ways to go about something, and I would rather take the road that's like way less traveled, and try to do something original than just do the thing that's already been done. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so then you minted a CloneX, and you're like, okay, like this is pretty cool, and then like you just kind of like worked your way up to like a CloneX that you were like, okay, this is gonna be the one. Is that how it was?
Man,
like you're like sitting like bids or something?
I saw the yellow jacket, and I was like, I need that. I need the yellow jacket. The first one that I minted. Maybe I'll send you a picture afterwards, and you could post it in here too. But it was the ugliest thing, man. Like, it was not even usable as like somebody that would be making music, because it had like a bamboo face mask where you can't even see the mouth move, and then its hair was covered. It had a turban on. The turban was one color, the mask was another color, the shirt was a different color. Like, none of it matched, and it was just terrible. But, I made a couple flips upward, and I DM'd somebody, and I was like, hey, like, this is my vision. Like, if you were to sell me your clone at a price that I know is beneath what it's worth, like, I'll never sell it, and it will be what I use for my vision. And the guy was really understanding about that, and he gave me like a deal that I could afford. Otherwise, the yellow jacket clones, the floor was like way higher than what I was able to afford at the time.
Wow. So, okay. Well, that's amazing. So he was like, yo, I believe in you. Here you go.
Yeah, pretty much. Like,
right?
I appreciate that, man. To this day, kept my word with it. I didn't sell it, and here we are.
Well, yeah. Now you can't sell it, pretty much, right?
Right. Yeah. I never would have.
Yeah. Okay. yeah. It makes sense. Okay. So now that you got the CloneX, and you're like, all right, did you just like have the vision to just create a music video? Because I remember the first music video I saw was like you rapping in front of like the TVs, right? In that little.
The speakers. Yeah, that was in a.
The speakers. Speakers.
It was in a warehouse video set here in LA.
Okay, so you like went to the warehouse to film the shot, and then you like put your CloneX in it, or like how did that work?
Well, originally, everything that I do with one other person, because he edits my videos, and he's a wizard. His name's Julian York. So like as far as like a team goes, I have like a couple of people that I do rely on. Most of the stuff I do by myself. But we had originally shot some other footage that was just going to be the first music video. It was already pre-edited. He clipped it all together. All that was left was to put the clone in the scene. But then I went to go help another friend who's a producer and DJ, goes by Code Pink, and shoot, a music video with him. And when I was on his set, I was like, bro, this is perfect. I need this. So I just like shot it with my iPhone, like 30 seconds here, 30 seconds from this angle, 30 seconds from this angle. We chopped it up and then we put it in the background and it worked out really well.
Wow. I can't even tell it was shot on an iPhone. That's like shot on iPhone, right? That's like amazing.
That's Julian, he color graded it well and he chopped it up well.
Wow. Okay. So when you put it out, like, were you like nervous at all of like what the reception would be? Because at the time, there's nobody doing a CloneX like rap, like a serious rap music video, right?
I was just a little bit nervous about like the possible things that could go wrong. There's so many things that go wrong with the launch. I mean, even putting it on Twitter, which was the plan because Twitter is, for crypto and NFTs.
The NFTs.
And that would be the audience for it. Twitter just eats the quality of things, so I was worried like it would come out all pixelated and blurry and all that. But like when I saw the edit on the computer for the first time, I was like, yo, this looks better and more realistic than I had anticipated it to look, because the goal was I could shoot everything in virtual reality here and it would blend all nice. And I could set up lighting and different camera effects in here, but I want to use real life backgrounds that like people in the physical world can relate to. And then it can bridge the gap between like, the people that are, have the eyes on the metaverse and the people that don't. Just gives them a sense of like familiarity and something that they can relate to.
In my opinion, that definitely did make a difference, right? Because I was like, how do they get the CloneX in the real world? That's like so interesting, right?
when I shoot video in here, I created my own world where it's all just solid blue, and we use it as a green screen and, cut the background out so that I can be placed against real world backgrounds.
Gotcha. Okay. So now that you made the video, you put it out, and then the reception for the most part was pretty positive. I remember when it came out, I was like, yo, this is like pretty sick. Was it just like love, like all around it? Were you like expecting that at all?
I mean, I was really glad about the reception. Of course, there's going to be a ton of mixed reviews here and there, or a tiny bit at least. But for the most part, it was well received. I fulfilled my promise to the community because I've been saying that I was going to do this for months. Because we were supposed to get the 3D files in Q1. That was the roadmap for Artifact, was 3D files Q1 of 2022. And so like I was banking on it happening then. I had mentioned what my plan was to people in the Discord, on Twitter, but I couldn't fulfill the promise until we had the 3D files. So it was well received in that regard. Some people are like, well, this person did it better, but they're just like some anime idol from Japan that
like a VTuber or something like that.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
Or like the Gorillas did it first, and I'm like, well, the Gorillas are animations, and this is like real.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah. So couple of opinions here and there, but for the most part, I'm glad that it was well received. Yeah.
I mean, it's good to have people talking. I mean, that's like the most important thing, right? It's better. It's better if people have positive and negative reception than nobody talking at all, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So then you dropped the first video, and then like pretty like soon after the first video, you just dropped another video with Harvey J, right? That was actually pretty cool.
I dropped the first video. The next week I dropped a second video, and then a couple weeks after that I dropped a third one with Harvey J, just to show people the capabilities of bringing real world artists or physical world artists and digital identities together. Because that's going to be huge. I mean, people need to be able to see that these kind of things can stand together. What's up? I forgot
somebody just like came out. I was like,
this is Doge. Hey man, I'm doing an interview.
Is he like wearing a green suit, or is it just like?
You're good.
I was like, what?
All right, man. I'll link up with you afterwards.
That's hilarious, dude.
That was my bad.
Okay,
I forgot to make the world private. One of my homies jumped in here, but that's cool. I like that's one of the things I like about VR is everybody can meet up from across the globe.
Yeah.
No. What I was saying was, I want to see real world and physical artists and digital identities kind of blend together so that people can like take it seriously. Otherwise, they're going to be like, okay, this is a gimmick. It's going to be short-lived. It's not sustainable. But if there's the cross-platforming happening, then people will be able to see, what the capacity for it really is.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, one thing I've been noticing on like Instagram, this happened like a few years ago, but like it's getting more popular, is how there's like those AI generated influencers, where it's not a real person, but they just like create it with AI and they like create a whole personality out of it. So in a way, it kind of like, it's definitely moving in that direction, right? Not that, you know, AI is different from a real person using a CloneX, but like what are your thoughts on that? Like, do you feel like the future is kind of a mixture of like a digital and like physical?
Yeah, I think that it's going to be an and thing. You know, it's not going to be an or thing. You know, like we're not going to all be digital. People are just going to be able to be whatever they feel like, or whatever makes them most comfortable, or whatever they're able to gain traction with. Because even myself, like making music as myself, you know, record labels would be like, all right, well, how do we brand you? You know, like what's your demographic? You know, you look this way, you speak this way, you're Hispanic, but you don't speak Spanish. Like what's your core audience? And the digital identity thing kind of erases all of those things. And it's just like, okay, we can give this to whoever receives it without having to, you know, have people try to identify with it unless they choose to. So I think we're going to see a lot of, you know, digital stuff mix in with the real world stuff, and then the AI stuff is coming, whether we like it or not. The AI stuff is not my favorite stuff, to be honest with you. I like the generation of characters, but I don't like the generation of content, because it kind of takes the feeling or the emotion out of the content, and it kind of makes the job of the people that do those things irrelevant. You know, if you have an algorithm that analyzes all of the most popular songs on the radio and then spits you out a template song that's exactly like that, then, I mean, that's what everybody's going to get fed.
Oh, that's true. And they'll probably like it too, because if the AI is so good, it'll put the hit together, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Interesting. But I do agree with you, where we're definitely moving in that direction of like mix of like digital and physical, right? I mean, it's not an or, but it is an and. Like VTubers on YouTube are getting like millions and millions of views, not just in Japanese, but in English speaking, like VTubers as well, right? Do you follow that at all, or like see what's going on?
I don't necessarily like follow anybody in particular, but I do pay attention to like what's out there. And yeah, I have seen some of that. It's getting more frequent, and the random posts that pop up. You know, before it was just like very seldom and like one every now and then, and now it's like, you know, once a day, or, you know, a couple times a day.
No, yeah, it definitely is like quite an interesting phenomenon, because it's like you can be whoever you want to be, right? If you want to be an anime character, you can be that, and you can build a career off of that, right? That's crazy to me.
Yeah, it's pretty dope, honestly.
Yeah. Okay, so within like the CloneX community, right? Are there like other people, like once they see you, are they trying to do like something similar where they're trying to build a brand using their CloneX?
Okay, so yeah, I mean, I do see people that tell me that they're inspired by the things that I'm doing, and they ask me about my equipment so that they can maybe check some things out as well, in the same realm of possibility. But we do have a couple people like Alts Anonymous that do their own thing in virtual reality with VR chat and making like YouTube content, and some others as well. But I do see people in CloneX wanting to do this as well.
Okay, so there might be like a whole new wave of like people using CloneX for like these kind of things, right? For their like digital identity, like literally.
Yeah.
Wow.
One of the things that I'm on a team for is called Clone Tools.
Oh, I've seen that. I actually covered it on my channel. Yeah.
It's a one-click solution for you know, the posing and stuff. But I'm on the team for that, for the virtual reality side of that, and we're trying to make virtual reality rigging a one-click solution as well, so that more people can get in here and do this without having to go through the hassle of, you know, trying to figure out how to rig it for virtual reality.
Oh, interesting. So then they could just like put on their VR headset, press a button, and then like all the clothes and everything like just automatically attaches on, and like it moves with them. Is that?
And they're good.
Oh, I see. So the way you did it was like, I'm guessing like way more complicated than that to like rig it?
Oh, yeah. Rigging for animation and rigging for virtual reality are, you know, two different things. So when we got the files and I looked at the skeletons and I tried to like import that into Neos or any other VR program, it just would not. You know, the program would not even recognize it as a humanoid skeleton. So I had to kind of do it from scratch. And it was extremely tedious. You know, I got it figured out, but yeah, I wouldn't put that upon anybody else, man. That sucked.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I remember when the 3D files came out, everybody on Twitter who had a CloneX was like, "Oh my god, like I'm gonna learn Blender," and then it's like everyone's like, oh shoot, it's like 10 times harder than I thought.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not going to learn Blender.
Okay. Got you. Okay. And then like another thing I'm curious about is, like obviously there's a lot of people interested in like using a CloneX for like, these kind of creative things. Can you tell me a little bit about like Artifact Studios and like how they help support the creators? If they do, like, do they like give you like tutorials or like try to encourage people to like create stuff or incentivize them in any way?
There are, tutorials on how to do things like set up the Snapchat lens filter for your clone's face. Some basic construction of the 3D files. Some of those things are run through Artifact sponsored groups like Artifact Creators. So they do support, the rest of us learning the skills and knowing how to create this stuff. But another thing they do is, a lot of times they'll share what we've done on their pages to give us an audience or a platform to display the creativity so that it makes it worth it. Because, some people are trying to use this to create a sustainable life for themselves because this is what they love to do. Like, I love to make music. I love to be creative. If I can pay my bills and fund, keeping fed off of doing that stuff, then I would say that's what success is to me. I don't have to have millions of dollars or be, super famous. As long as I can sustain what I'm doing off of just creation, then that's good. And I think that's the goal for a lot of people. So to have that audience, that Artifact sometimes will allow us to have via their platforms or pages, it's very helpful.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's definitely true. Because I feel like for most creators, it's like a lot of times you do it for the passion, right? But a lot of times when you do something for passion, it isn't always the thing that makes the most money, right?
Yeah.
So the dream is always like, do you love doing what you do for a living? And then if you can live and pay all your expenses and you feel comfortable, then actually you kind of want the game, right?
Yeah. So that's the thing. I mean, you can be passionate about something, but if you can't do it because you have to like work a 40 or 50 hour a week job,
they sell cars,
and then by the time you come home, you're like drained and you don't want to do it anymore, then it's like, okay, I mean, you don't even get to live the passions out. So better to do it, some way like this if you can.
Yeah. I totally hear you. And then so for you now, are you like, I remember you had a tweet, you were like, I'm going full time, music and this and that. Like what's the status on that? Everything going all right?
Yeah. I mean, I got a lot of things in the works. I have a secret mint tomorrow and a collaboration with some other people. So people will see that. I got a lot of collaborations. I'm going to be collaborating with Chill Pill, who is a Web3 artist signed to Atlantic Records and a non-exclusive deal. Just a lot of things like that.
Yeah.
So it is working out. I'm getting great support from everybody in the community, especially to keep it going.
Yeah.
And I have big plans.
Yeah, I see that. I definitely see that. And do you think like, do you think one day you will sign to a record label? Is that like something you think about, or is it that you prefer to be like an independent artist? Or I'm just curious about.
I don't think that I will. The way that Chill Pill did it that I mentioned, they did it very, very smart for their team and for Web3 because it's a deal that doesn't infringe upon their capacity to do anything or the creative rights or anything like that.
Yeah.
But even still, I don't think that I would.
Yeah.
Because I don't have to at this point.
It's like, I'm good.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't have like, the desire to take on millions of dollars to fulfill, a contract, all at once.
Yeah.
When I can slowly build something with a group of people to just continue creating. I don't really see the label as something I desire.
True. Like if you already have like some traction, you feel like pretty confident to grow your audience organically, then technically you wouldn't really need a label at this stage, right?
Right. The label is just a network of people in the music industry that do things, efficiently and for you, like you sign to a label, you get a good publicist, you get playlisting and Spotify and stuff like that. So that's what's good about Web3 is we have all those people that have worked those jobs and we're in those backgrounds already. And if those are the people that make up your community, then you don't need that network because you've already established it for yourself.
That's true. Yeah. Web3 is kind of a different game, right? Where everyone's kind of like helping you out, whereas Web2 maybe in some industries is more like gate-kept in a sense.
Yeah.
You feel that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that.
Definitely.
Yeah. And what do you think about like how there was one group that like bought a bunch of Bored Apes and they put it together into a band? Do you know what I'm talking
about? I have seen that. I have seen a couple of Bored Ape, type bands. I know that there was the one that was done by like official producers like Timbaland and stuff like that. And then I know that there are just a couple of like homegrown ones that are kind of more random people. But I think that's pretty cool if they can, succeed through that avenue. I hope they do.
Yeah, I mean, it'll push the space forward, right? Like once someone sees like a Bored Ape perform, be like, oh, what about the CloneX guy? What about this guy? And it's like, it's like all, what's it called?
Yeah.
Like a rising tide lifts all boats kind of thing.
Yeah, and I like that. It's definitely a different culture, because before it was like, all right, I got to do it first, and if somebody else does it, there's less room for me. That's a big mentality in the music industry. But here it's like, hey man, we're all gonna make it.
We're all gonna make it until the bear market hits.
We're all gonna make it. Right.
Yeah, no, I totally get you. But I think it's more healthier to have the mindset of like, there's more like room for everybody versus, if someone succeeds, I have to lose, especially for like music. I mean, this is music, right? It's not necessarily like, like you're trading something. It's quite different, right?
I know. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess for you, like in terms of like what you want to do long term, like what does success look like? Is it that, obviously you want to be stable income, that kind of stuff, and do what you love? Totally understand. But like, do you want to like, can you perform on stage as a CloneX? Like those kind of things like you think about?
Success in the long run, I mentioned like what it means to me as far as being sustainable, but beyond that, I also want to be able to do, comfortably all the things that I want to do. You know what I mean? So like, I love anime. I want to make an anime based on my character. I have a great, plot line already developed. Let's put it on Netflix, that type of stuff. Like I want to be able to have the brand capacity, and I want to be able to have, the pull to be able to be like, I want to do this. Let's do this thing. And it just be something that I, have always wanted to do, comics or trading cards or, animes or whatever else. So that's the biggest thing. Also having that mean something to the people that support me. Like we are in a position to where like for the first time, you can benefit from supporting someone, as a fan. So I want to be able to build this sort of platform while benefiting the people that were there from the beginning or jump in, because they like what they see and want to help out. That I think is what, I'm striving for.
I see. So not just like being a rapper and like doing music, but more of like being a creator overall and using those skill sets in like maybe different fields, right? Because it's kind of like the same, like Kanye's good at, rapping and making beats, right? And then now he's doing like clothing and like doing all this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's just when you have the creative mind for it, and like I said, I used the word fluid earlier, you don't have to put yourself in a box of being like, okay, I'm only a rapper. I can do this with my, creativity. I can do this, and all of them can come together under the same brand or, this umbrella that covers, everything having to relate to this. And then I would also like to, prove that this model works and is a sustainable model so that I can bring on other people that are like me, develop, other artists as digital identities where maybe they were overlooked or didn't get the traction that they deserved according to what their talent actually is. And then, use this platform to grow their platform. And then, we prove that it works for everybody.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's I think that's how it usually goes for a lot of successful musicians, right? Like they do their thing, they sell out songs, and then they go on tour or whatever, and then they find people from their neighborhood or whatever, and they bring them up and like give them a platform and speed up the process, right?
Yeah, and then to answer your other question, as far as like performances go, one of my favorite things about Neos VR is that there are a lot of like tools. This is an actual like game engine similar to Unreal Engine, or, it does have the capacities of Blender, where underneath all the visuals, there are nodes and there are modules, and you can build things and from scratch in here. Like if I wanted to change this outfit in here, I could like mess around with the nodes and do that. So in here, there's a tool that will track all of my movements in real time and export them as a 3D animation file. I can then take that 3D animation file and project it onto a stage as a hologram. So essentially, I could do a live performance in here, export it as an animation, and then put that performance on a stage. And that could be, a new experience.
Oh, that's a very interesting thing. So it's like you can be in your house and then you can doing your thing, right? But then to the other people, there's like 10,000 people in the crowd watching this like VR kind of thing, right?
Yeah. Exactly. And you could do it in multiple places at once. I mean, you could do things like, like Fortnite had the biggest concert in history, so to speak, because it was everybody in game at the same time. But you could do something where it's like the first or the biggest by like performing in every country in the world all at once via hologram projector.
Oh, wow.
Do a whole tour in one day.
Yeah, that's that's pretty hilarious. Right, do a show in the morning and then just like take a break, have lunch, whatever, do a show in the evening. That's pretty funny. But no, that's actually a good point, right? Because I was thinking of like, oh, like you project the VR and stuff into the physical world, which I think there's there's definitely a room for that. But I didn't think about like, why not just do a concert within like a metaverse world, right? It doesn't have to be like Web3. It could be Fortnite, it could be whatever, right?
Well, yeah, you could do that as well. But yeah, I mean, what I was mentioning was putting the hologram in every city.
Oh, okay. Well,
because that would be cool. It's like you can do either or, for people that are in the metaverse, you could do that. But for people that still crave like physical world experiences and want to go out to a concert with their friends and be somewhere, we could change the way that a concert looks. And I've mentioned this before in Twitter Spaces, is that like, since this is an animation, you can do anything with it and it will like, change what a performance is. You go to a performance right now, it's your favorite person, they're jumping up on stage, they're getting hype, right? Well, with an animation, you could put somebody on a stage and then they could charge up with the Dragon Ball Z aura and they can grow 18 feet tall in front of you, like before your very eyes.
Oh, true,
and
true.
do the next song with the, full power,
full power.
or something like that. I mean,
Super
really,
Saiyan.
like the sky's the limit with your imagination on what you can do.
Yeah.
And then you can put that on a stage in front of somebody.
Yeah. Oh, actually, that makes it more dynamic, right? Because like, even when you're watching, like I've been to like Coachella and like these kind of shows, right? Like when you're all the way in the back, like you're not really seeing anything. You're usually you're not even looking at the physical artist. You got to look at the screen anyways, right? So people are kind of used to the idea of just like looking at a screen in general, right? So then if you can like amplify that like crazy with just like using all the animations and effects, that would be quite interesting, actually.
Exactly. I mean, it's a new experience and people haven't seen that before. So I think it would be interesting to see how it would be received.
Yeah. Especially when like VR technology gets a lot better and like the movements are a lot smoother and everything like that. Like I'm pretty sure it'll get to a point where it's like fluid, where it's like almost like a human being, Yeah.
I mean, there are still some things that like are a little bit awkward, like hands, like you can see my hand is going into my jacket right now.
Yeah.
They're still clipping, but eventually it'll get real.
Yeah, for sure. Eventually. I mean, it just takes time, right? I mean, this is all new. All right, cool, man. So is there anything you would like to have the audience like look out for? Like, I know you said you have a secret mint tomorrow and then like collabs.
Secret mint. I mean, not so secret anymore, right? But no, it's just a mint, in collaboration with some stuff that other clones are doing. But, it just depends on what you're into, because I'm going to be dropping all kinds of stuff. Like next month, I want to work with Ramp on a burn mechanic that will allow people to buy song features from me. I'll sell maybe 50 song features and you can do a song with me if you're an artist and that's something that you want to do, or if you're somebody that looks at things as assets or collectibles. As an artist grows, so does the price of their song feature, and it's something that you can hold and maybe sell to somebody else in the future if they would prefer to pay more for it.
Oh wow, that's dope. So then they can buy one of those and wait a couple years, and then when you're like huge, they'll be like, hey, remember that time you sold the NFT? Like, I want my song now.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? And somebody will, buy it at that point if I stay consistent.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting because now you can kind of create assets and itemize things that were kind of intangible before. Like you can't resell a feature prior to Web3. Now you can.
Yeah. Oh, that's actually quite innovative. Okay, cool. So a lot of stuff to look out for. So I guess people should just follow you on Twitter to just keep updated, right?
Yeah.
All right. Sick. So as we go ahead and come to near the end of our interview, is there anything like you want to, leave the audience with? Any like parting words?
A lot of people, like I mentioned, tell me that I've inspired them to do things. And that's because, I very openly say like, I'm not like an engineer. I'm not like a dev. I'm not a tech, wizard or anything like that. And I've been able to do things like learn Blender and apply, some of the stuff I've learned to creating content like this. I've been able to, accomplish a ton of stuff within just this few months because, CloneX is half a year old. It's not even a year old right now. So I just like to tell people that they can do the same. There are a lot of people that might doubt themselves and think like things look intimidating. You know, you open Blender, there's so many buttons, you don't know what anything does. That's kind of how it is with everything in life. You know, you could look at something and think, hey, this is definitely too hard for me. But if you take the time and just like breathe for a second, I like to tell people that they can do exactly those things and they can learn new skills that will put them in better spots. So I hope they can take that to heart and actually do the things that they thought they couldn't.
All right. Wow. Those are some nice parting words. But I'm sure a lot of people listening to this would be like, yeah, you know, like, and we all have dreams, right? But then I feel like in life, things aren't as complicated as we make them to be, but they're not easy, right? So like doing the CloneX thing
true.
and doing, right? It's like, it's simple concept, but it's like, it's work.
It just takes the effort and it takes the time. I mean, time is the master of all things, you know.
Yeah.
They say you become a master when you've put 10,000 hours into something. So I'm not saying you have to be a master. 10,000 hours is a lot of hours, but
yeah,
you can take the maybe 17 hours it takes to do the donut tutorial from YouTube.
I actually did try that. But yeah, I totally hear you, man. All right. Well, anyways, dude, appreciate you really coming on for the Parallax podcast. We're making history right here. You're making history. You're definitely innovating in the space. So I'm keeping a close eye for sure. I'm following you on Twitter to see what you guys, what you do in the future. So thanks again, Vega, for coming on. And, for the audience, I'll see you guys in the next one.